Introduce yourself. Hey, are we ready? Yeah, let's do it.
Sorry, I'm just getting glare on my laptop.
We're fine. Yeah, I'm telling you, you get it made it. Oh, do I need to come back? Okay. I think I forgot to sign in. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Education Research Center Advisory Board meeting. Getting my screen set up, 1 second. Can everyone hear us? Okay, let's do those checks. I'm seeing nods. All right. Oh, look at all the thumbs up. I love it. Great. Okay, well, we will jump right in. Get started. I'm going to take a quick roll call reminder to the board members to stay on camera throughout the meeting. So, Rayon, are you here? I'll come back. Jackie?
Here.
Linda?
Here.
Angie?
Here.
Celeste?
Here.
Holly?
Here.
Kathy?
Here.
Yuji?
Here.
Megan? I'll go back. Rayon, have you?
Yes, here.
There you are. Great. Okay.
Megan is online.
Oh, Megan, are you here? We see you. There you are. Okay, great. Great. Quick, before I go into the next thing, we're going to adjust the order of the agenda to make sure all the board members are here for for item 9, which is consultation with legal counsel to receive legal advice on board governance. So we'll move that after agenda item number 2. And then also before we move on, I wanted, this sadly is Holly's last ERC board meeting as a board member. Holly, wanted to give you a chance to say anything you wanted to say.
No, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to be a board member of this advisory, and I am not leaving Texas per se. I'm moving into a different state, but I will continue to be involved in using ERC research and hopefully supporting researchers using these data. But yeah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure getting to know all of you and supporting, I think, really high quality policy relevant research. So thanks again.
And Trey Miller here with UT Dallas, and just am sharing as well for those that haven't heard yet that I too this is my last ERC advisory board member as a resident of Texas, a member of at UT Dallas. So Holly and I will be transitioning to new positions at University of Tennessee. But this is not our last ERC advisory board meeting by any means, but we'll be continuing to collaborate with everyone here in other ways. But it has been such an honor and privilege to work with all of you over these years, and look forward to continuing to do it. And I also think that it's very fitting that I'm here as the first person to attend an ERC advisory board meeting in person.
Yes.
So
Good way to.
that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I also want to say thank you so much to Holly and Trey. You've been along this ride in different aspects for a long time, and we've learned so much from you. There's been really great work coming out of UT Dallas and the UT Dallas ERC. So we're sad to not have you as involved, but we know we will still remain connected. So thanks for everything you've done for the ERC and research for Texas. So next agenda item is public testimony. We don't have anyone registered. So now we'll move on to agenda item number 9, which is consultation with legal counsel to receive legal advice on board governance. The advisory board will meet in a closed meeting to deliberate the following matters pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071 and 551.129. The advisory board will meet in closed session to engage in consultation with legal counsel to receive legal advice regarding board governance. No other business of the advisory board will be discussed. After this discussion, we will reconvene in open session. It is now 1:07 p.m. We'll convene executive session. Board members, we will now move to a, what's it called? Breakout room. You'll get an invitation to a breakout room in the Zoom call. So remain on the call while we assign that to you. You'll automatically be moved into the executive session as soon as you click join breakout room. And everyone else on the call, we will all join back after this short break.
Last slide needs to show.
The what? Oh yeah, and we'll put the slide up.
Just
Okay.
looking for it.
Oh great. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I was muting. Sorry, everybody. I created 60 breakout rooms by accident. Sorry.
They're all in this one.
Okay. I think
Oh, it says leave break. The breakout room will close.
I'll recreate it
Okay.
because I think I accidentally put all other people.
Wait, hello. I've been appointment with Dr. Lee at 3:40.
Okay.
But our dermatologist got back to us and said it's inflamed, which is a good thing. Our immune system is taking it out. I'll try to get you an appointment next week.
Okay, can you do the camera? Sorry for the room. Just another audio check. Can everyone hear us? Great, appreciate. We've never used the emojis in such a useful way before, so thank you. All right, so my script. It's now 1:26. We are convened in executive session. So we will now move on to the next agenda item, which is agenda item 3, consideration and possible action to approve minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last board meeting?
This is Holly. I move to approve.
Great.
This is Rayon. I second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next is consideration and possible action to approve the consent calendar. The extensions on the consent calendar are highlighted in gray on the agenda. These are extension 8, UHO 72, extension 9, UHO 86, extension 16, UTD 192, extension 17, UTD 213, extension 18, UTD 214, extension 19, UTD 215, extension 20, UTD 216, extension 21, UTD 233, extension 22, UTA 245. Does anyone have any questions or comments or want to remove any of these from the consent calendar? If there's nothing else about those, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Celeste.
Celeste, do I have a second?
Angie, I'll second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Great, so now we'll move on to consideration and possible action to approve additional data and amendment requests. First is data 1, UHO 73. Any questions or comments from the board on this one? If not, do I have a motion to approve? This is
I'll move to approve.
There's Jackie. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Yuji.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Now on to data 2 UH 109. Questions or comments about this one? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
Angie, I'll move to approve.
Holly, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 3, UH 122. Questions or comments from the board on this one? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve Celeste.
Do I have a second?
I'll second, Yuji.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 4, UTD 209. Questions or comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy. I move to approve.
I
Holly, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, data 5, UTD 243. Questions or comments from the board? If there are none, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve Celeste.
So a second.
This is Becky, a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 6, UTA 198. Questions or comments from the board? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy. I move to approve. Sorry, Megan.
I'll second it.
Great. Back one second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 7, UTA 246. Questions or comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy. I move to approve.
And Holly, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 8, UTA 249. Questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
Angie, I'll move to approve.
Oh, sorry. Second, do I have a second?
This is Becky, a second.
Thanks, Jackie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 9, UTA 259. Questions or comments from the board on this one? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve Celeste.
I'll second, Eugene.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 10, UTA 280. Questions or comments? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy. I move to approve.
This is Rayan. I second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 11, UTA 282. Questions or comments from the board?
This one I had a question. Are the researchers requesting all subjects of STAR in every grade?
We actually, we're just looking for math and English. So it's not every subject. And we can clarify that. if
Okay.
that's-
Yeah, that'll be great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve with the amendment to add the detail of which subjects to include?
I move to approve. Eugene?
Second, Celeste.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 12, UTA 285. Questions or comments from the board on this one? If there are none, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy. I move to approve.
Holly, I second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 13, UTA 289. Questions or comments from the board on this? I did have a follow-up question on this one. So thanks for sending the data dictionary. And I know it's aggregate data at the zip code level, so I guess the program level. But just noting that some of the variables are sensitive about visa status. So wanted to hear from the researchers, like kind of explaining the direct connection between the research question and why the need for information this sensitive and specific.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. And I apologize, it might not be very clear from the document that we provided. So basically, we wanted to get a aggregate national level measure of the F1 student visa holders number to get a sense of how many students are studying in that field nationwide. And then that would be like the exposure that coming into like Texas. And then it's not specifically like I don't have a very small cells that tell me the number of visas in Texas University specifically. It's more like a national level. F1 student counts, and also the OPT is like a work permit counts.
Okay. That's really helpful context.
Thank you so much.
Can you talk about the connection between the research question and where this information applies?
Yes. So the research question in the post-college part, we ask how the there's a spillover effect on the domestic students, and we want to measure it by how exposed they are to the international students, specifically working after they graduated from the Texas universities. But it is method-wise very endogenous. That is why we need to introduce this national level changes to measure how that affected them. Does it make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from board members about this? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve select.
This is Jackie, a second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, now we're getting closer to the meat of the proposals. Additional data and extension requests. Data 14 and extension 1, UH 110. Questions or comments from the board on this one? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve select.
Angie, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Data 15 and extension 2, UH 120. Questions or comments? This one for the board. If no questions, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Rayan. I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
This is Jackie, a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, agenda item 7. Consideration of possible action to approve extension requests. Extension 3, UH 5. Questions or comments on this one?
I wondered whether are we changing any rules on the number of years that projects should who worked on?
I don't think we have necessarily a rule about the years, so I think it's a conversation with the board about, is that right? There's nothing,
About like timeline.
yeah, like if it passes 10, there's not necessarily right now there's not like a written policy about that, so I think it's a question for the board. If we have questions about that, because this would bring the total time for this project to
Well,
over 11 years, like almost 12 years, yeah. Anyone have any questions about the work or?
I mean, could we ask the researchers more about the extension and how close they are to finishing?
Yeah,
The researchers.
I can speak up. This is Faiza. So our work is ongoing. So because the research questions are looking at the outcomes of our teachers who take part in our professional development programs. Because every year we have a new set of teachers, so we try to look at the student outcomes of these teachers every year. Since 22, we have not had a chance to look at the outcomes of participants since 22. So this extension would allow us to go back 3 years and look at the student outcomes for our teacher participants. Does that clarify?
Are there any questions from the board? About
I'm
this?
just wondering if, and I'm not, worried about this one particularly, but whether there's something that, we need to discuss later on to be more consistent, because at least in the past, and I've been here a while, they would make people submit a new proposal instead of approve. And so I just didn't know if there was, something that we need to discuss, and it doesn't have to be at this meeting, obviously.
I mean, I think if the board feels like this is extending past the original research questions, but yeah, it's up to the board about how we feel about this. But yes, I think that's something for on a policy side can be discussed. There's not anything currently. If there aren't any other concerns, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Holly, I motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Kathy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Extension 4, UH 18. Questions or comments from the board? And if there are none, motion to approve.
Kathy, I'll move to approve.
This is Angie, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Extension 5, UH 27. Questions or comments on this one?
I may have missed it, but I wondered if there was original end date.
Oh, let's see. Is it in the form? Is it not listed in the form?
I didn't see it.
It looks like it's been extended through September 26th.
26, okay, so it had been extended through September 26, so that's the current end date we have on record. So this would take it to 28.
Okay, thank you.
I show it Celeste in the form, I think.
Okay, great.
Except the original end date that we have listed, which maybe is worthy of double checking off of y'all's records, Melissa, is 6/10/26. So instead of September,
Oh.
June.
Okay, we will double check.
Oh.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll look at the specific
Yeah.
date, but yeah. What the year would be. Okay. Check. Any other questions or comments on this one? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve Celeste.
Do I have a second?
This is Jackie, a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, extension 6, UH35. Questions or comments? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
This is Rayan, I second.
All in favor?
Aye. And can I, Melissa, I'm so.
Oh, sure.
Zoom has decided to pay attention to my hand. I'm so sorry. I'm voting and the hands come up. I apologize. I misread. Celeste was exactly right that we would need to update to the end date, the original end date
Okay.
that Linda noted. That was my mistake.
Okay.
I looked at a different file.
Do we need to reopen that to make an amendment, or can it just be
Can you?
fixed?
Yeah, let's just fix it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, great, thank you. Okay, sorry, back to extension 6, UG, that's where we were. You
And Ray.
motion and Rayon seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Extension 7, UH37. Questions or comments from the board? If there are none, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Rayan, I move to approve.
Do you have a second?
This is Kathy. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Extension 8, UH72.
That was consent.
Wait,
Already. Is this on consent?
oh, I'm looking at the wrong. I'm not looking at my highlighted list. Let me find it. One moment, please. Okay, I have too many papers in front of me. All right, extension 10, UTD 126. Questions or comments? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is probably a motion to approve.
I'll second Celeste.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Extension 11, UTD 147. Questions or comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy. I move to approve.
Angie, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Extension, cannot keep up. Extension 12, UTD 153. Questions or comments from the board? If not, motion to approve.
This is Jackie, I move to approve.
I'll second Celeste.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Extension 13, UTD 168. Questions or comments? If not, motion to approve.
I move to approve, Celeste.
Kathy, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Extension 14, UTD 170. Questions or comments on this one? And if not, motion to approve.
Kathy, I move to approve.
This is
Jackie, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Extension 15, UTD 173. Questions or comments or motion to approve?
I move to approve. Eugene?
I'll second, Celeste.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now we're paying attention to consent. So the next one is, that's it. Okay. All right, so now to the main event. Agenda item 8, consideration and possible action to approve new research projects. We'll start with proposal 1, including remote access request, UH-133, the impact of large language models on higher education, evidence from public Texas universities. We have a researcher here to talk to us about this.
Hello, can you see me?
Hi. Yes, welcome.
Hi, my name is Bryce Davies, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Chicago Harris School of Public Policy, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My project aims to study how generative AI, especially ChatGPT, has impacted college students' educational outcomes. The main motivation is twofold. First, generative AI may change how students complete coursework and how much they learn, especially if AI makes it easier to complete certain assignments without necessarily fully engaging with the material. And this raises concerns about academic integrity and grade inflation. Secondly, AI may change the value of different schools in the labor market, which could impact which courses students choose to take and what type of preparation they receive. Given this motivation, my project asked 3 main questions. First, did the introduction of ChatGPT change student course enrollment? For example, if AI made certain types of coursework easier or changed the perceived value of certain skills, students may have shifted towards or away from particular courses. Secondly, did student grades change more in courses where ChatGPT could be more easily used? And this speaks directly to whether AI could be contributing to grade inflation or otherwise impacting student learning. And sort of given these sort of changes in grades and course taking patterns, do what grades and what courses you take, do they signal something differently to employers now? To give a brief overview of how I plan to answer these questions, I plan to combine course syllabi that I've scraped myself with student level outcomes. The course syllabi allow me to measure how exposed each course is to AI use, sort of based on the assignments in the syllabus. And using this exposure measure, I can look at how student outcomes changed in more AI and less AI exposed courses after ChatGPT became widely available. And this evidence can benefit Texas education policy in a number of ways. Sort of for institutions, it can help them identify whether AI is encouraging grade inflation or changing enrollment patterns, which will allow them to sort of create more informed and more effective AI use policies. For instructors, it can give some information on how sort of this specific assignment and assessment design impact students' AI use and learning. And lastly, for policymakers, I think this is will provide very timely evidence so they can make informed policy decisions, especially since there seems to be a few bills in Texas right now, specifically about regulating AI in schools. Yeah, thanks for your time, and let me know if you have any questions.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board for the researchers?
Yes, I'm wondering if the FERPA statement needs to be a little more detailed. I believe it just said it meets the studies exemption because the findings can help improve instruction for Texas University students. It's not wrong. I just wonder if we needed to be more detailed.
I had the same comment on my note as well, Angie. So I thought if the researcher could highlight more on how this research can help improve instruction, getting into more details, that will be definitely helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks for the feedback. I will make sure to expand on that and provide a little bit more detail.
Thank you. And I had a few, just two more comments. I was wondering, do you need to have access to CBM 009, the graduation record for your research?
It's like degree completion data.
Yeah, so I don't think I have that listed, but now that you bring that up, I probably should add that to the data request.
And then comment about CBM 003, the course inventory. That one you can easily download from THCB website, and then I think you can download it in various formats. Is that right, Melissa? Course inventory? Okay. Yeah, but
Okay,
I think
thank
that
you.
might be the faster route for you to get access to that data, since we don't.
It's not in the holdings right now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I realized that I've actually already downloaded it, and so
Okay.
my apologies if that's in there. So
That's okay.
May I ask a clarifying question on that? Assuming that this moves forward, would that need to have an accompanying supplemental data request?
No, that one is no.
Because it's from the coordinating board, or it's from the website. Yeah, but I think we could also talk about, is this something we need to add to the holdings? Since it's, this is another route that right now would be faster, but it's the same data in the CBM. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve with the following amendments? Add some detail to the FERPA exception statement and add the CBM 009 to the requested data.
I'll move to approve with those changes. Angie?
This is Megan.
Who was that? Sorry. Oh, Megan. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here. All right. Proposal 2, including remote access requests UH 134 from Crowns Calculus, connecting pre-K readiness to advanced learning pathways. Is there someone here to talk to us about this project?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes, welcome.
Okay, y'all ready?
Yes.
Okay, so hello, I'm Krishna Deswan from the Department of Curriculum and Instruction at U of H College of Education. This is a joint proposal with my colleague, Dr. Shin Lee, and it houses 2 linked quantitative projects that together trace the Texas student through the full P to 20 to workforce pipeline. The first project, led by Dr. Lee, uses hierarchical linear modeling to examine whether and how school and family environments shape pre-K and kindergarten readiness for Texas children and long-term correlations with that readiness. It looks at factors such as preschool type, kindergarten length, teacher quality and retention, and their relationship to readiness outcomes. The second project, which I lead, picks up later in that pipeline. I analyze which students access advanced and gifted coursework, how advanced course taking and disciplinary outcomes interact, and how those patterns relate to educational achievement, attainment, and eventual earnings, while accounting for that prior achievement and program participation such as pre-K, special education, gifted education, 504 status. Together, our two projects advance a life course framework, linking early ecological influences to later academic pathways and incomes. To do this, we request student level data housed in the ERC from the TA, THECB, SBEC, and National Student Clearinghouse, and the Texas Workforce Commission wage records, spanning from 2006 to the most recent available data, with the option to possibly merge it with the federal civil rights data collection just to look at the specific course offering information. Our methods will include descriptive statistics, multi-level models, latent class analysis, and some causal inference approaches such as propensity score matching, differences in differences, and regression discontinuity. On our benefit to Texas, our work is explicitly aligned with the state's policy priorities, including HB3 college, career, and military readiness, which stuff like advanced coursework counts as part of those CCMR requirements. The THECB's Talent Strong Texas goal of 60% of Texans aged 25 to 34 holding some type of post-secondary credentials, the Texas Early Learning Council school readiness priorities, and recent legislation such as SB 2124 on early algebra 1 and middle school policies, and the state's new universal pre-K funding. And for dissemination, we plan to produce policy briefs, summits and roundtables, along with peer-reviewed journal articles, conference presentations, practitioner forums, webinars, and community engagement events. And we're supporting it with our setup funds with the research already built into our current research loads. So that's our proposal in brief, and we're happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board for the researchers?
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. I read in your proposal that you're looking kind of at the influence of the school environment on student progression from pre-K through high school, I guess. And you said that you're going to look at kind of the effects of classroom activities like teacher-student interactions. I'm just wondering how you're going to measure that using the data provided to the ERC.
So that is a good question because I know Shin Lee added that. I think what we were going to do was look at some of the pre-K evaluation type questions and look into this, but that is a good point because she's more familiar with how that's measured with the Texas data than I am. So I would have to look to her to look for more details about that.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
I was just going to say, knowing that there's not detailed sort of curricular information about the PK-12, my understanding, Christian, this is y'all's proposal, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, is more about the sort of structural experiences that the ERC data do include around attendance and teacher student
ratios.
Ratios and also demographic relationships and things of that sort.
Yes,
so
because that's definitely in there looking at the different demographic ratios, looking at the different readiness indicators. But if the information is not in there, we can pretty easily remove it from as needed.
Okay, and I guess another question I have is you mentioned using, a variety of statistical methods to do your analysis. So you mentioned regression discontinuity, difference in difference, and I didn't really see a clear link between those methods and the research questions that you're asking. So I'm wondering if you could give us some insight on how you will use those methods to answer your research questions.
So the regression discontinuity was going to be looking more at who has access to the advanced algebra coursework, because with the new SB 2124, they're changing the requirements. So while before there were multiple different ways we could decide who's in the 8th grade algebra courses, so for that, I was going to use the regression discontinuity to see if there was differences there, looking at those prior test scores and then the placement, because we know that top 40% mark off is a great point for using that regression discontinuity and still being able to include our control variables for our early things. But propensity score matching, it was basically going to be just the regression, but just with the propensity score matching in there to match, because I know we're doing the regressions just to see kind of the relationships there. For differences and differences, so my primary interest is looking at coursework, how different levels of mathematics coursework relates to things. So one of the things I've been interested in looking at is looking at that interaction between if you're in an advanced class one year and an advanced class the next year, are you having the same increases? Do you have that same
Mhm.
likelihood of maintaining? Because I know some of the prior research tells us that there are certain groups of students who are less likely to stay in those advanced mathematics course taking tracks throughout. And especially since we know that with some of the policies, not all of those math courses are required, especially when we look at kind of the STEM endorsements. So that's where my mind was thinking of with the relationship with the research questions there, which I think is probably in my list of variables where I have that kind of discussed, but maybe not as explicitly as should have been.
Yeah, I'm just looking over your research questions, and there's no mention of explicitly looking at that Texas state policy that really opens access to 8th grade algebra access. And so I guess, I mean, it makes sense what you're saying on the call, but I did not see that we're really clearly reflected in the proposal.
In the related policy for number 3, I haven't mentioned, but maybe it's not as explicitly mentioned. It's in the benefits to Texas under related policy number 3.
Any other questions or comments from the board for the researcher?
I had some just data questions. First question though is, are you going to try and link students to teachers at all?
Wait, link to what? The
students to teachers?
We are especially for the early childhood, because that's part of the retention. Because one of the things Shinley has on there is to look at the data for like the teacher qualifications and retentions, and looking at that kindergarten readiness.
And that's why you have the SBET data then?
Yeah, that's why we have that in there, because we wanted to control for teacher characteristics.
But how are you going to place that teacher in a specific classroom?
Is that information not linked?
Well,
because with a multi-level model, if we know the school, we can at least control on the school level for like the retention levels of the students. But if that's not linked in the classroom, we can modify that.
Might need more data than because the teachers, there's a teacher class file, but and you used to be able to link the younger ones, but now it's only high school.
Oh, okay. We thought that there was a way to link the early childhood teacher data. So it looks like you can't link it to the classroom. You can just kind of get but can you still at least get the teacher level data for the schools?
Well, you'd have to have some sort of employee data then, like P class, P employee, some way to put them in a school. And Linda, chime in if I'm incorrect about the pre-K. And so the only other thing I was thinking that you might want is you did request CBM 001, and I didn't. You might want CBM OC1, and then if you want any sort of TSI. The Texas Success Initiative, and that would be going into college. You might want the CBM 002 and the TSI.
Well, let's just to clarify, I'm sorry, Linda, I don't mean to hop in front of you if you were going to make a comment. But you are recommending the P class P employee files as a linking mechanism.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I was getting into the higher ed data that if they're trying to look at any sort of higher education, going into that, maybe some of the SAT, ACT, TSI measures would help.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's good feedback.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any Any other questions or comments? I also had the question that Holly asked about connecting the method with which research question, which outcome. So I do think maybe that would be helpful to add to it, is just making that clear connection as you describe the method to which question.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If there aren't any more, do I have a motion to approve with the following amendments? The addition of the connection between method and research question, and the addition of request for CVM OC1, CVM 002, P class, and P employee.
I motion to approve of those amendments that you just mentioned, Melissa.
Second.
Oh, no. Could I add one more?
Oh, sure.
One more amendment to this, because
Okay.
I think Holly made this point, and I think it's an important one. Just assured clarity of specific policy. Christian, you referenced where it is already, but just some additional policy clarification on top of what you've already included.
And should that go next to the research questions or in the?
I think it's great in the where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I can work with you on that.
Hey, thank you.
Do I need to?
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. It's a good point. Do I need to reopen it because we already had stated the amendment and somebody?
I guess we'd be safe and reopen it.
Okay, how do I do that? Do I have to rescind?
Rescind my approval.
It's the right way to.
Yeah, I guess so we just want Holly to rescind her.
Jackie also seconded it.
So we went through second, but then there's a request for an additional part to the amendment, so we want to add that to the actual motion.
So why don't we motion to close the previous one, reopen, vote again?
Close is the right word?
I think so.
Okay. So can I motion? I motion to close the prior amendment, or close the prior motion.
I second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right. Now, do I have an amendment, or do I have a motion to approve Proposal 3, including remote access?
Proposal 2. This is Proposal 2. This is Proposal 2.
I have too many things open in front of me. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Proposal 2, including remote access requests, including the following amendments? To add clarity of connection to policy, add clarity to the connection between methods and research question, add the request for the CVM OC1, the CVM 002, P class, and P employee data. I think I got that.
I'll move too, since I'll move.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Just a second, yeah, second.
Ms. Jackie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Melissa?
Thanks for being here. Yes, Rayan.
This is Rayan. I just wanted for the record to let you know that I will be leaving the meeting due to my prior engagement. Thank you, and I will see you at the next meeting.
Great. Thank you, Rayan. So for the record. Great. So moving on to Proposal 3, including remote access request UH 135. Do we have a researcher here to talk about this one?
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
My name is Leah Pomeroy. I'm a PhD candidate in economics at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. This proposal is joint work with Frankie Lynn, who unfortunately could not make it today, but is also here at UW-Madison. We both want to say thank you for taking the time to hear our proposal for access at the ERC database. So in this project, we propose to study how college promise programs can play a key role in both educational access and attainment in Texas. To do so, we're asking three major questions. First, to what extent do promise programs affect students' college-going decisions and for whom? Second, how do these programs shape academic persistence and success once students enroll? And third, how do they affect long-term degree attainment and labor market outcomes? So we hope to answer these questions against the backdrop of the UT El Paso 30K Promise program, which is now known as the PayDirt Promise. Beginning in 2009, the program covered full tuition and fees for UT El Paso students from families with an income below a threshold that started at $30,000 and has since reached $100,000. The simplicity of the eligibility alongside its ties to a single institution with a high commuter population makes it a distinct case for studying how targeted aid reaches students who need it most. We think this is an important avenue for understanding the equity efficiency trade-off that happens in financial aid. Why the ERC database? We think that this provides a unique opportunity to identify the causal effects of this policy, and more broadly can provide insight into how financial aid design can affect educational attainment and achievement. So having the linked data allow us to explore the policy's impact both on the shorter run college going decisions, as well as longer run earnings and employment records, which are vital statistics for measuring these outcomes for Texas's growing workforce. We also believe that these research questions speak directly to the state of Texas's goal of expanding college access. First, it provides a basis for measuring the program's causal effect, which can help us better understand the overall cost benefits of the program. And second, because it's concentrated at a single local institution, this can help provide insight into how geographically targeted aid shapes which students actually benefit. And we think that together these findings can provide Texas with additional guidance on designing scalable aid systems that effectively target students most in need.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board for the researchers?
Hi, Leah. I enjoyed reading your proposal. I know that there is a lot of different promise programs that exist, right? They differ on a number of characteristics, and I'm just wondering, because I didn't see a description of the UTEP Promise program. I'm wondering, could you tell us a little bit more about it and how it's different from kind of other promise programs in Texas and broad, because I imagine it might be unique in some ways relative to the other ones. And that just helps, I would think, like the coordinating board or other foundations think through, like, whether this program should be, given your research, scale to other kinds of areas, and like what are the dimensions that make it?
Yeah, a great question. Thank you. So one of the things that we think really makes this unique is it being offered, instead of being offered at a flagship institution, being offered at a local one that has a high commuting population. So that's really supporting and pulling from its local community. We also think it's unique how the program has scaled over the years. So for a long time, I think it was about 10 years, from 2009 to 2019, the Promise program was only applicable to students whose families made under $30,000 a year. And it's now stepped up to $100,000. And so when we think about other research in the Promise program space, some of the results that have been found is that it's students that are on the margin of not receiving other aid that are most affected by these programs. And we think because of how El Paso has scaled its program, this is a great opportunity for seeing where does that margin lie for students in Texas.
Yeah, I guess, is it like a first versus last dollar? Like, what are the requirements for being eligible for the promise? I guess those are the questions that I'm asking.
Yeah. Okay, so it is a last dollar program.
Got it.
And it's a family income. So there's not this big assets test like you would see with something on FAFSA. So the requirements are pretty minimal for students. They, I believe, just have to submit proof of their family income. And so it's a pretty straightforward policy from the student's perspective in terms of determining their own eligibility.
I guess from my perspective, it would be helpful just to have a short paragraph describing the Promise program in more detail. In the proposal, because I know that there's some Promise programs that have some kind of academic achievement component, like this doesn't seem to be the case. It's unclear whether transfer students are eligible for this program. And so, I think your research is unique, but I think the results kind of speak to kind of perhaps one type of Promise program. And so, the external validity might not extend, to other ones. So anyway, that's just something that comes to mind.
Thank you.
I have a couple of data questions. You're talking about local community. So I'm thinking it would be helpful for you to have where they graduate from high school, or, and the graduate year, all of that, the P-graduate file. And then you don't really have any demographics, if the K-12. I'm not sure Course Complete's going to be helpful because it wouldn't have demographics in it. So I'm thinking something like P-attend demog would probably be a good one to also, so that you can get demographics in there.
Thank you.
Would you like to request?
Yes,
to request
sorry.
that? Okay. Was it just P attend demog or also another one?
I think P graduate would help too, and then she'd for sure know which high school they're coming from and everything, and what they graduated, endorsement, all of those things.
Good addition. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion to approve with the following amendments? The researchers add a description of the Promise program in more detail, and also add a request for P attend demog and P graduate.
Angie, I move to approve with those amendments.
I'll second Celeste.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Sorry, we're moving the schedule around today, but we've gotten a request to move up proposal 14. It's a scheduling constraint. So now we'll move on to proposal 14, including remote access request, UTA 294, uncertified teachers, teacher retention, and student outcomes.
May I ask who requested that?
Oh, Mike Rubin. It's not 14, it's 15. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, because that was my proposal.
Sorry. Oh, sorry to put you on the spot, Celeste. So move up to proposal 15, including remote access request UTA 295, understanding student mobility and SAISD, patterns, predictors, and district exits from 2005 to 2025. I have researchers here to talk about this one.
Thank you for moving up my item. I'm overseas 8 hours ahead of you, so it's already past 10 o'clock. It's 10:30 over here, just about. So this study is focused on student mobility. Student mobility is one of the most disruptive forces in urban K-12 education. It predicts lower test scores, lower graduation rates, and long-term loss of educational attainment. In large urban districts like SAISD, non-promotional school change rates can exceed 30% annually. Yet SAISD currently has not conducted a longitudinal kind of data-driven portrait of which students are moving, which campuses are losing or gaining them, and why. The project examines student mobility within SAISD over a 20-year period from 2005 to 2025. It pursues three things: describes mobility patterns by grade and campus. It proposes to model the predictors of mobility at the student level and benchmark SAISD against peer Texas urban districts. The predictors I will examine include prior mobility history, chronic absenteeism, low academic performance, disciplinary history, including DAEP placements, and student demographic attributes. I will also test whether innovative school designs, like what we call academies, that include grades PK through 8, and we also have some different school designs that include middle school plus high school grades all together, whether these unique designs reduce non-promotional transitions compared to traditional elementary, middle school, high school configurations. Why this matters: the 20-year window captures structural shifts no single year study can see: charter growth, changing attendance zones, the COVID enrollment shock. Evidence on DAP placements and subsequent mobility is directly relevant to ongoing state debates about disciplinary policy and the school to prison pipeline. The methodology that I'm proposing is fully replicable. Other Texas districts and TA can apply this same framework to understand these patterns and dynamics across the state. I'm requesting remote access to a standard set of ERC files covering enrollment, attendance, special education, discipline, exits, and state assessment records for SISD spanning 2005 to 2025. And I do have an amendment inspired by the conversation that y'all had earlier. I reviewed my proposal and saw some data holes. I'd like to include the early childhood education data that we collect in the ERC. That would be the V_ECDS data, if possible. Because I think, early education, as we know, has a profound impact on predicting whether kids are on track and stay on track in later grade levels. And that would be important to know if that is a policy lever that can be manipulated to improve and stabilize enrollment.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
I had a comment about the FERPA exception because you mentioned it's audit or evaluation FERPA exception, but I thought for the purpose of the projects, it might be better fitting for the studies as you're trying to provide insights to improve district intervention design and school structural models. Yeah.
Well, I'm absolutely open to your suggestions on that.
Other questions or comments from the board? Yes.
I would just add in support of the additional data named and requested that its usage be more clearly, like its linkage be more clearly articulated within the proposal, whether that's in the where that would fit in agreement with its utility, just having clarity in the narrative would be helpful.
Other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve with the following amendments? The addition of the request for the early childhood data, including additional narrative about the reasoning for adding that data set. And then also a change of the FERPA exception to studies and explanation of that. Do I have a motion for that?
Motion to approve with the amendments that you mentioned which were very long, but
yes, they're documented. Yeah.
Yes.
A second.
This is Angie. I'll second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Great. So now we'll go back to, I think we're at proposal 4. Okay. Proposal 4, including remote access request UH 136, enrollment algorithm and financial aid in higher education. Can we have researchers here to talk about this one? Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Karin Liu. I'm a PhD student in economics at Boston College. Thank you for being here to hear my proposal. My project studies how does the enrollment algorithm affect the university's financial aid decisions and student outcomes. I will answer these following questions. So after colleges adopt those enrollment algorithms, how do the students who receive aid change in test scores, family income, and minority status? And how does it change the average tuition discount rate? Does it affect the dropout rates and the post-graduation earnings? I also want to study whether universities using the similar vendors appear to make more similar financial aid decisions over time. So to answer these questions, I need the students' application information, family income, and their financial aid offer and the later outcomes. So the ERC data is very necessary because it provides these linked records and make this project possible. And this project will help universities to understand more on these tools. By identifying which students gain or lose aid, the project will help Texas universities access whether current resources allocation tools align with the goals on affordability, equity, and completion. I'm also requesting approval to use supplement data from 2 outside sources. The first one is the data set I'm constructing on myself. That data set is for whether and when each public university adopt these enrollment management tools and which vendor they're using. And this adoption information is very essential. Without it, the project will be very limited to do much more than descriptive analysis. And the second one is the institutional level IPAS data, such as some cohort academic characteristics, endowment, and other institutional controls. So these controls would strengthen my analysis, but a core student level question could still be studied without them. Another correction, and the last thing I want to say is about one correction for my application. So I would like to include 3 more data files under ERC, the TEA in the requested data list. So they are P enroll demographics, P disciplinary action information, and the testing files. So because I would like to add more controls and some testing information about the students. Yeah, thank you. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board for the researcher?
I might have missed it, but do you have specific section about supplemental data in your proposal? Mentioning, I know when you just presented, you mentioned about iPads and researcher created data, but I couldn't see that specific section listing everything.
In the application, in the proposal?
Correct.
I think I submit a spreadsheet for supplement data, but I probably don't have it in my application file. I can add it later.
I do think to bring in your own variables, we need that connected in the proposal to explain the need to bring in, especially the ones you created, or it's your own created data set.
Okay. Okay, sure.
Because did you say the research questions can't be answered without it?
Yes. Because like the first data set, it's the like when and whether those institutions are using the algorithm. So that'd be a very important factor to my question. So yeah, I will add that to my proposal. I will link that with my research question.
I think it's a question for the board because it's needed for the proposal or for the research. Do you all feel like you need to see that written connection before you can approve? It's an open question.
So like, do you want me to like say something about how they can link with each other, the supplement?
Well, I'm going to ask the board first about whether that would be sufficient, or do we need to see your write-up? Or do we need to see it in the proposal before they can evaluate it? So that's the open question here.
So Melissa, would that require the researcher to resubmit the proposal for the September meeting? Is that?
Yeah, I think if you don't feel like hearing it now and making it an amendment is enough, then we would need to.
I from my perspective, if the researcher articulates on the board meeting how those data will be used, I'm fine approving the proposal like on this call.
Great.
I honestly, when I read the proposal, I thought it was a relevant proposal, and it seems, I don't know, I don't think it warrants resubmission.
Okay. Great.
And I'm fine with that. I was just questioning, you're requesting all years of available data. And so the ones that you added, for instance, testing, that means TOS, TAX, and STAR. Do you need all of them?
Yeah, so those tasks are something which can represent the student's ability, right? Like all those tasks. If they, yeah, I think I would need all of them because I just want to add more controls like to represent the student's ability. Because like some financial aid are given based on the student's performance, like the merit-based financial aid. So I just want to add more controls. So the testing files would be really great.
Are you asking for all of the years for all of the tests? And I would want to hear a little more about why specifically all of that information.
And how that's related to the research question.
Yeah, because like my research is like over time, like say some university they used the algorithm like say 5 years ago, and then I would like to see like before 5 years, like say in 2020 before 2021. How does the financial rate look? How does the financial rate look like? How does that look like after 2021? So I want to add those tested scores to represent the student tech. Like say for a student with a very high test before, how much financial should they can get? And after they use the enrollment algorithm for a student with such a high test, which is such a good performance, can he still get such a high financial rate still? So that can represent something for my research question. Yeah.
So for only certain grades or for?
Well, because I know in the application file they have the SAT and the ACT scores, so I will mainly use those things for it. But I know there are some missing information on that, so I want to add those testing things as a control unit, like so I can predict if a student didn't go to this. Yeah.
No, I understand that. I'm asking more about the specific, because testing files and TEA data is a lot of different tests for a lot of different subjects and grades. So thinking through the specific, it makes sense to me that it's a control though, yeah.
And may I make a suggestion?
Sure.
because the reason, just to add context to why you're getting these questions, there is a desire to offer, to make available, to consider making available the sort of the amount of data needed to effectively answer the question, and not less but not more. And so I think what you're hearing is a wondering out loud about whether a totality is needed, or a temporal subset, or a curriculum, or a subject matter subset. So because here's my suggestion, to then come back to letting you offer a bit more importantly about the supplemental data, because I think because this was an additional audible request, which you could come back and make as a supplemental data request in the next cycle. So because it wasn't originally included, there's another path to be able to do that. It does delay a bit, but it also doesn't preclude the entire proposal from being. It may help move the proposal consideration current forward. So my suggestion is considering rescinding the audible request for now and taking some time to think about the questions you're hearing. And I'm glad to talk with you about this in detail, to come with a really well rationed understanding of what you're asking for and why, which may be the same thing, or it may be something more bounded. So if you're open to that, I would say consider that, and then come back around to what Holly noted of offering a bit more right now while you have audience of the supplemental data files, what they are and how they ground the work of that you're proposing.
Okay. So my supplement data, so there are two parts of it. The first part is the one I just mentioned about. It can identify when did those public universities use the enrollment algorithm, and that would be very important for my identification, so that I can use some in-depth methodology to check how the things change, how the tuition discount rate change, how the student test score change. That's the first part of my supplemented data. And the second part is the AppHats data, which provides some institutional level characteristics. For example, how many faculties they have in each university, and that affect the university's quality and affect the student's choice. So I would need some institutional level characteristics that will make my analysis more reliable. And also AppHats data include some cohort level academic characteristics, like say, for example, the average ICT score, like say, for example, University of Houston in some specific years. So I may want to use that to complement, there are some missing information on ICT score in the ERC data.
Any questions or comments from the board about this? I do think these were included in the supplemental data file, the Excel sheet as well. So I just want to go through it one more time. So the variables you're bringing in that are your own collected have to do with the date, but also vendor.
Yeah,
This is more, I'm saying it out loud more for myself because I'm making sure I've covered it all. Because I appreciate the detail in the supplemental, in like the Excel sheet.
So for example, University of Houston used the software from vendor, like say EAB. This is the name of a company starting from 2021. For example,
Great.
This is my supplement data. Yeah.
Great, I appreciate that example. Any other questions or comments from the board? And I'm hearing that the three data sets mentioned before can come later as a data amendment, so I'll remove that from the motion. Sure. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion to approve with the following amendment, that the researcher add information about how the supplemental data will be used in the proposal?
This is Kathy. I'll move to approve.
This is Holly, I second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Right, moving to proposal 5, including remote access request UH 137, the effects of expanding access to algebra in Texas. We have researchers here for this one.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Justine. I'm a PhD candidate in economics at UC Berkeley, and this project is joint work with my co-author, Gabby Launer, who's in the public policy school. She just had a beautiful baby girl 2 weeks ago, so unfortunately wasn't able to join us today, but we are both very excited about the prospect of working with the ERC on this project. So our project is examining the effects of expanding access to algebra in middle schools through Texas's Middle School Advanced Mathematics Program, which was established under Senate Bill 2124. The law requires all middle schools to implement an advanced math program that allows students to take algebra by 8th grade and to automatically enroll 6th graders who performed in the top 40% in 5th grade math. So our first set of research questions looks at the school level effects of introducing an advanced math program on student achievement and subsequent course taking, as well as factors like teacher course assignments and classroom composition. We plan to use a difference in differences design, comparing middle schools that are newly offering algebra with those who previously were already offering algebra. Our second set of questions investigates the direct effect on students who are automatically enrolled into advanced math and how those effects may vary across schools and students. We'll be using a fuzzy regression discontinuity design, comparing outcomes of students who scored just above and just below the top 40% cutoff for auto enrollment. Because Texas is one of only a handful of states with an opt-out policy for advanced courses and is, to my knowledge, the first to specifically target middle school algebra, the ERC data will give us a unique opportunity to understand the impacts of these types of policies in a time when policymakers across the country are working to improve student outcomes in advanced math. Specifically, we will need longitudinal data on testing and course taking, as well as student-teacher links, teacher and school characteristics, and student demographics. Our project hopes to provide timely evidence on how this policy is impacting students who have newly gained access to advanced math courses. And given the ongoing implementation in Texas, our findings can inform decisions of how to effectively allocate resources to best support students, particularly in schools that are offering algebra for the first time. Thank you for your consideration, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Great. Questions or comments from the board?
Hi, Justine. So you actually referenced one of our students in your proposal, which is really exciting. But he wanted to mention that there is no way to kind of identify honors classes in the data. So just so you know that. And I also wanted to kind of ask kind of more about how your research will benefit Texas. Like, what are the potential policy levers that could stem from this research and really inform what state policymakers do, what district officials do, etc.
Yeah, great question. I think from a state level perspective, it's, I think, useful to understand how, a policy like this that's kind of new and ongoing is actively affecting students, and if there are any maybe unintended consequences or specific schools or demographics that could use, different type of support. And so I think the school level analysis will really be helpful for answering those types of questions. I think especially for smaller rural schools who may be struggling with deciding how to staff these classes and struggling with scheduling constraints. I think our project will be useful in helping kind of describe what schools are doing as they're, trying to implement this advanced math program.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve. Eugene?
Who was that? Sorry.
Megan?
Megan, okay, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here. All right, proposal 6, include remote access request UTD 252. Majoring in the cycles, recession-induced distortions in skill supply and labor market outcomes. We have someone to talk about this one.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, welcome.
Hi, thank you for your time. I'm Yang Chang, and I'm a PhD student in economics at the University of Rochester. The motivation behind this project is simple. We know that human capital investment during college plays an important role in shaping career trajectories and also has broader implications for the future labor supply. At the same time, cycle fluctuations like recessions alter labor market conditions by changing unemployment risk and wage returns across fields. Some research finds that students respond to recessions in quantity margins, such as extended years of schooling or delayed graduation. However, we know relatively little about how students' major choices and skill investment respond to recessions, that is a composition margin. Thus, in this project, I would like to answer 2 core questions. First, do economic recessions influence the types of skills in which students choose to invest, as reflected in their enrollment in majors and courses? For example, courses emphasizing technical skills such as computer programming. Second, whether such changes affect employment outcomes later. For example, the wage when students enter into the labor market. These questions are important for policy. If recession shifts many students towards certain fields, it may create congestion in those programs, not only placing pressure on educational institutions in the short run, but also may affect workforce alignment in the longer run. And if recessions discourage students from entering fields such as education, healthcare, or other essential occupations, that may contribute to future workforce shortages. But this question is difficult to answer because it requires linking students across multiple stages. I need K-12 records to understand who respond to economic downturns, higher education data to observe major and course choices, and labor market data to measure later outcomes. This is why the Texas ERC data is essential. This project could contribute to Texas. Texas is actively working to align education with labor market needs and cares about whether higher education helps students achieve successful careers. My project fits directly within this policy space. It also provides a framework for policymakers to anticipate shifts in students' educational demand when economic conditions change. While the focus is on recessions, the same framework may also be useful for other economic shocks. And this study falls under the FERPA studies exception because its findings can inform instruction in Texas through forward-looking resource allocation, the preemptive design of education-related incentives, and student decision-making. By showing how economic downturns shift students' educational choices, the study can help institutions anticipate changes in demand for courses and programs and may adjust resources accordingly. The findings may also inform policies such as scholarships or program expansion to address potential future shortages. The results also provide useful information to help students make educational choices under economic uncertainty. Thank you. That's a brief overview of my project, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board or the researchers? We did note that you request the CBM 004, which is only available through the beginning of fall 2022. So in order to get the same information as the 4 moving forward, you would need to use the CBM OCS and the CBM OC8, which includes course level and faculty information to combine to create that information. So I'll suggest you add those.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the board?
I'm just looking at her proposal and she does request OCS.
Okay, then we'll add OC8.
OC8. Okay.
To get all the information that was in the 4, unless the information about faculty that's in the 4 is not needed.
Okay.
But to create the same information, you would need both of those.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I will add it.
Great.
Okay. Wait.
Okay.
I'm confused. I don't know if we're looking at the same. She does request CBM 008 2001 to present.
The C8.
C8.
Correct. Yes. Sorry. To make it more complicated, there's a C8, the census date, and the 8, which is the.
Okay. And Melissa, so that's just clear. The C8 begins in 2022.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Perfect.
If there aren't any other questions, comments, do I have a motion to approve with the amendment to add a request for CBM OC8?
This is Holly. I motion to approve with the addition of CBM OC8.
Second.
I'll second. Celeste.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here. All right, proposal 7, including remote access request UTD 253, assessing the impact of teachers on college major choice. Someone here to talk about this one?
Yeah, hi.
Hi,
My name is, thank you. My name is Kenny Hoffmeister. I'm a PhD student at the University of Michigan, and this work is with Brian Jacob, also at Michigan, who couldn't be here today, but I will do my best to represent our project. So thank you for considering our proposal. This project aims to measure the impact of high school teachers on their students' choice of college major. We know that college major is an important determinant of later earnings. And so understanding how and why students choose their major is essential for developing policies that increase post-secondary success and wages. We also know that high school teachers can affect many student outcomes, such as test scores, college enrollment, and later earnings. However, very little is known about the effect of teachers on students' choice of major. We plan to address this gap by answering the following research questions. First, to what extent do teachers affect their students' decisions about college major, as well as other educational outcomes related to major, such as subject-specific coursework in high school and college, or sector of employment? Second, how do teachers become particularly effective at influencing students' choice of major? Are there observable predictors of this ability, or do teachers learn from other teachers? To answer the first question, we plan to use a value-added approach, and TEA, THECB, NSC, and TWC data from the ERC to link teachers and students in the classroom and then follow students through high school, college, into the labor force to measure their field of study and other post-secondary and labor market outcomes. To answer the second question, we would correlate factors such as teacher demographic characteristics, credentials, and work history with their influence on student major that we measure in the first part. We believe that the findings from our study will be relevant to education policy in Texas. First, the Building a Talent Strong Texas initiative has set a goal of raising post-secondary attainment among Texans aged 25 to 34 to 60% by 2030, with an emphasis on credentials of value. By measuring the impact of teachers on student major choice, our work may identify an important way to guide students towards higher paying fields which is aligned with the goals of this initiative. Second, our results could inform the implementation of the Teacher Incentive Allotment Program, or TIA. Districts have latitude to define the TI designation criteria, which could include the ability to influence students towards particular majors, as well as other measures of teacher effectiveness. Finally, by identifying factors that predict teacher major influence, such as certifications or years of experience, broaden our understanding of the impact the rise of uncertified teachers in Texas on additional important outcomes, such as student major choice. Thank you again for your time and consideration of this proposal, and I look forward to your questions.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board for the research?
I thought for data request, you might want to request CBM WS as well, since you requested CBM OCS. OCS is the census student report, and then WS will give you a full scope, including the grades as well. So that might be helpful for your research as well. And then I wanted to also comment on CBM AA. If your research is interested in getting into the enrollment of continuing ed courses for the students. But I just wanted to highlight that in case that might be beneficial for your study.
Yeah, those are excellent suggestions. Thank you. We'll revise the proposals and include them. Thanks.
I have one, I'm sorry. Could you offer a little bit more about, you reference HB2 and you also reference the teacher incentive allotment.
Mm-hmm.
Could you maybe say a word about what the unintended consequences might be of incentivizing teacher influence on particular student majors?
Yeah, I mean, so that's a good question. Certainly, major choice, what you choose to study in college is maybe like a function of your preferences as a student, your abilities, what you feel like you're good at. And so sort of trying to manipulate those preferences or change what people might study is not exactly what I had in mind. And but that could be an unintended consequence, right, of incentivizing that. I think of it more as like offering more options to people, right? So like what the goal of the project, I hope, is to understand like how teachers might influence major choice, and if they do, what it is about those teachers that makes them very good at that, to the extent that they can do that, and then how to so for something like getting students to want to pursue a STEM, something like a STEM major, biology or chemistry or something along those lines. Maybe it's not so much like shifting them from something that they would have done otherwise that they would like maybe benefit from more, enjoy more, but more like opening up opportunity to them, a field that they would not have considered otherwise, that now feels like something they could do. But sure, that is certainly like a possibility with thinking about incentives for that.
Yeah, and I appreciate the response, and I'm just, I can imagine a circumstance where you might find that particularly effective teachers have influence on a student's decision to pursue a major, whether that major is in the sort of the high field credentials of value. Is because I hear you talking about both, right? I hear you talking about credentials of incentivizing, helping understanding the opportunities teachers have to influence students' pathways to credentials of value, and then I appreciate your reflection on helping students understand their value is kind of what I hear in what you're saying, right? And understand agency to understand possibilities that might not have been previously realized. So interesting work. I think there's a lot of complexity in what you're proposing, that there's a lot of nuance perhaps in what you're proposing, and how those results may or may not, how they may or may not inform policy.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Definitely. And it's, yes, I 100% agree. And I will, be thinking about that as I hopefully am able to move forward with the project. But yeah, thank you for that. I'm going to do some more reflecting on that as well.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion to approve of the amendment to add requests for the CBM, OOS, and the OOA?
I'll a motion to approve with the amendment of adding OOS and OOA.
Angie, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here. All right. Moving to proposal 8, including remote access request, UTD 254, the role of student teaching and developing effective educators. Researchers here to talk about this one?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah, and I'm a PhD candidate at Columbia University. Recently, the state of Texas has shown educator preparation and development to be a policy priority. This investment is admirable, and with it comes both a new importance of and opportunity for high-quality research using novel data collected in Texas that can help understand the role of the teacher training process in creating effective educators. In my research, I aim to focus specifically on one of the cornerstones of the teacher training process, student teaching, where candidates in educator preparation programs are matched with current in-service teachers known as cooperating teachers to gain hands-on experience in an actual classroom. While it's widely believed that the student teaching experience is instrumental in training a new teacher, the evidence base for why it's effective and what elements are important is thin. In my research, I hope to answer the question, what makes student teaching work, and how can we improve it? So first, I investigate whether the match between a student teacher and their cooperating teacher matters. Just as students benefit from having an effective classroom teacher, we might expect that student teachers can benefit from being mentored by particularly effective cooperating teachers. And so I aim to identify which in-service teachers produce the strongest outcomes in their student teachers so that districts and educator preparation programs can make smarter matches between student teachers and cooperating teachers. I also investigate the role that other aspects of the student teaching experience, including the role of student teacher supervisors and the role of peer student teachers in the same cooperating school and or educator preparation program, play in determining other student teacher outcomes. And these outcomes can include things like value add and retention. I then examine student teacher residencies, which is an extended form of student teaching that lasts a full year rather than a single semester, and often provides stipends to both student teachers and their cooperating teachers. Texas has recently spent some money investing in expanding these residency programs, but there's not a lot of evidence yet on how effective they are or which elements of the program are driving any potential effects. And then finally, I analyze how the teacher incentive allotment program might affect student teaching. The TIA was designed to reward effective in-service teachers, but cooperating teachers are also in-service teachers, and a policy that reshapes their incentives might have effects on student teaching that no one has yet measured. If TIA causes cooperating teachers to redirect their energy toward their own students and away from mentoring, gains in current teacher quality could come at the cost of future teacher quality. On the other hand, if TIA exposes student teachers to higher quality teaching, student teachers may actually benefit. Either way, I hope my research will give policymakers a fuller picture of what the teaching incentive allotment is actually doing. And I plan to use ERC data along with supplemental data from TEA, as well as potentially supplemental data that I have collected in order to answer these questions. And I want to say thank you to the board for considering my research project, and I hope to work moving forward with you guys to develop some effective research.
Thank you. We have questions or comments from the board for the researcher.
I'll just make a comment that there's quite a bit of work in this space happening right now across a good cadre of scholars in Texas. So we'll definitely encourage you to connect in with those folks as you are moving ahead with your project, because there's a lot that I imagine may help ground where you move forward. Including there's conversation and the TEA is still working to finalize what its plans are, but TEA also is, especially with respect to HB2 and the prep allotment, so paid residencies specifically related to your work and mentor teachers, that your work may line up with and may be interesting to them, and the work that TEA is undertaking will certainly be interesting to you. So.
Yes, I want to say that I've been in contact with Jeremy Landa over, I believe, I don't know what exact department he's in off the top of my head, but yes, I'm excited to work with practitioners in Texas right now. I think this is a really interesting space that's developing.
I have two comments. The comment about the data related to CBM 004, just like how we commented for other researcher, you'll want to request CBM OCS and CBM OC8, since CBM 004 retired in 2021, I think. And then I just want to remind, not just for you, but for all the researchers, that the project approval does not entail approval of all the data elements listed in the supplemental data dictionary. After the board approval, PHCB staff will work with the researchers to go over the data elements. So I just wanted to put that in your radar.
Excellent. I'll amend the application to include the new data sets, and I do understand that the supplemental data has to go secondary review.
I do have a question. Are you planning to try and link students to teachers, and and I'm assuming that might be more the teacher that the student teacher is teaching with?
So, yes, I'm planning to match students to teachers, both students to the cooperating teacher, the mentor that's handling the student teacher, as well as later on, once the student teacher begins teaching, that student teacher with their own students. Yes.
Okay. You'll need the file P course complete. I don't see it listed anywhere.
Okay, thank you. I will make sure to amend my request.
And you do list both FERPA exceptions. I didn't know that was something that needs to be changed.
That was my best understanding of how the FERPA exceptions apply. If you believe that I can consolidate under one FERPA exception, I'm happy to do that.
I think so. Just to add to what Hannah is saying, I believe in the previous board meeting, a researcher proposed a project that fell under both of the FERPA exceptions. And so my takeaway was that if a project meets both FERPA exceptions, it should be included in the FERPA for board review.
Okay.
So that's the advice that I gave Hannah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lawyer in the room, and he says
I'd agree there.
that he agrees. But if it fits, it's fine to bring it up.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve with the amendment to add the CBM OCS, the CBM OC8, and P course complete?
This is Kathy. I think to approve.
I'll second. Yoshi.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, proposal 9, including remote access request UTD 255. Texas Top 10 as a linked contest, theory and evidence. Do we have folks to talk about this one?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Hi. So my name is Miriam. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and this project is joint with Kala Krishna at Penn State and Esma Azar, who will be at Wesleyan in the fall. Unfortunately, neither of them can make it today, so I'll do my best to represent us all. So thank you for considering our proposal. Our project is studying the Texas top 10% rule and how it affects student incentives before they apply to college. So this policy was designed to expand access to Texas public universities by guaranteeing admissions to students who graduate near the top of their class. And there's research that has shown that this affects college access and diversity, including geographic diversity. Our project wants to ask a different but closely related question, which is how these admissions rules change student incentives while they're still in high school. So because policy is based on rank within each high school, students are not only competing to perform in absolute terms, but also for position relative to their classmates. And this could encourage some students, especially those close to the cutoff, to work harder for their grades, take different courses, or invest more in test preparation. The policy could also, though, have unintended effects. For example, students who have already secured a high rank may have weaker incentives to continue investing in other academic skills that don't affect their rank or test scores, and students far below the cutoff may feel the guarantees out of reach. Our model also predicts there should be significant differences across high schools, depending on the strength of their students. So like the marginal top 10 students at a really strong high school may be able to get admission or aid to even better colleges than a flagship Texas school. And so they may not care as much about securing the top 10%, but in less academically strong schools, students who are on the boundary may prefer Texas flagship schools to their outside option. And so they may exert even more effort to be in the top 10%. And alternative cutoffs could affect how these effort incentives differ across the range of high schools. So our main research questions are, first, how does the top 10% rule affect measurable indicators of high school effort, such as course taking, attendance, disciplinary outcomes, and standardized test performance? Second, do these effects differ across the range of high schools? Third, what are long-term impacts in terms of college performance, persistence, completion, and earnings? And then how could alternative cutoffs affect both student incentives and access to higher education? And this project can inform education policy in a couple concrete ways, can help policymakers understand whether the top 10% rule is creating intended incentive effects for students and how these differ across high schools, and whether the current cutoff is well calibrated, and then provide evidence on if other alternative thresholds would better preserve access goals while reducing unintended effort distortions. And so we need the ERC data to follow students through high school to see measures of preparation, attendance, coursework testing, and then also higher education records to see applications, admissions, enrollment, and persistence. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board for the researchers?
I guess I was unclear how the Texas Higher Education Opportunity Project survey data was going to be used. It doesn't sound like you're merging it.
We wanted to use that just to verify the model we're going to build to estimate class rank.
And how would you verify that?
So because we see like more buckets for the class rank in the GAP data, we just wanted to make sure that like when we're estimating the class rank, that matches the information we have on class rank in the THEOP data as well.
And would that be by individual?
I believe so, yes. Yeah, I'm not misunderstanding the question.
Or is it just comparing the overall what you're seeing in the ERC data with what you see in the other data?
So we just want to make sure
link anything student by student?
no, we wouldn't be linking It would just be to make sure that the model works like on both sets of data. Yeah.
So just looking at the patterns on both.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve. Eugene?
Have a second.
This is Angie. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right. Proposal 10, include remote access request UTD 256, making the grade in Texas, course rigor, the top 10% rule, and pathways to post-secondary and workforce success.
Hi, thank you all for being here. Really appreciate your time. I know this is a long day for you all, so I really appreciate you listening to these proposals. My name is Ken Shores. I'm an associate professor at the University of Delaware. I'm here with my collaborator, Sandy Student, who's also at UD. In this study, we are looking to apply the kinds of statistical tools used in computer adaptive testing to high school transcript data to try and improve upon the information contained in a Texas high school transcript. At a high level, I think we are kind of conceptualizing this project as the development and validation of a new data tool that can complement data tools that Texas is already using. So just to contextualize and motivate the study a little bit, we know that the GPA has limitations as an indicator of a student's high school trajectory. A GPA gives the same grade point value to an A, even when two courses differ substantially in what they require from students. One course could be more demanding in terms of time or have more advanced content. And so we sort of think of this as like the rigor of the course. So our project is designed to recover that missing rigor at scale. We also know that Texas puts real weight on GPA and class rank. GPA matters for advising scholarships and automatic admission under the Texas top 10% policy. And so we propose to use statewide transcript data to estimate course rigor based on how students perform relative to other students with similar academic records. Intuitively, the approach we use makes a course appear more difficult if students that usually earn strong grades tend to earn lower grades in that course. Then given a course's difficulty, we can assign a different value to a student's performance in that course based on how they did. This approach is roughly what statistical models are doing when they estimate a student's achievement score in a computer adaptive testing environment, but we are applying it to transcript data. So in prior work in Delaware, we've done this and found the method to be quite informative. But we think Texas has a stronger policy use case than we have in Delaware, both because we can link these data to actual earnings records downstream, but also because GPA features so prominently in policy design in Texas. First, the project would give us a lot of information about the top 10% rule itself. Unlike prior studies, which have really kind of evaluated whether students benefited from being on one side of the 10% cutoff or another, we kind of think of this as more of like a diagnostic or audit study. We want to know whether the current system is identifying students who pursued and succeeded in rigorous coursework, or whether some students might be unintentionally missing out on access to the policy because they have taken harder courses and that's hurt their GPA in some way. We also think that the project can complement Texas's college career and military readiness framework, which is already used to kind of identify academic excellence. But the metaphor that we have in mind is kind of like fruit on the vine. We think there's a lot of other types of academic excellences that are hidden in a high school transcript. And our method is intended to kind of recover and harvest that fruit. And so what we want to do is contrast and compare and see whether or not this other methodology builds upon what the CCMR is already doing. So as I said in the beginning, we think of this as a new tool that can be of use for Texas education policy that complements and extends what you guys are already doing. And so to help with that, we will make research briefs if those are useful and make all code readily available and replicable for people to use if these tools prove to be fruitful. I'll stop here and take questions, and my co-author Sandy might jump in too if he wants to help out.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board for the researchers?
only clarifying question was for testing data from TA, are you requesting all subjects and all grades? Because
So
you only,
oh, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead, please.
We only need high school test score data. Anything pre-high school, I think, will not be of use for us. Primarily, this is really just for the validation exercise. We want to know whether this measure of the transcript strength is predicting things differently than test score data. And because we're interested in looking at course records in the STEM fields versus non-STEM fields in CTE, getting test score data in other areas like math and reading would be useful to see if those things are predicting outcomes differently. But from the grade level span, we would be looking at high school grades.
I see. The reason I asked was because in the data table, you listed only tax, STAR, and TELPUS. So from that, I was wondering, if you're requesting all subjects or which grades, and that wasn't clear.
Oh, I'm sorry. What we can do is just revise that to narrow it down to specify high school. And then I think we would like to get all subjects if we could for the high school grades.
So Ken, just so you know, that last year when all Texas students take a standardized test is 8th grade.
Okay.
So that's just important information for you to consider when you modify the proposal.
Okay. Can I ask, does Texas collect like SAT and ACT scores for students in high school?
We don't have that in.
No, that's not in the ERC holdings, no.
Okay. So that's good to know. That will affect our kind of ability to validate the high school performance versus what we can get from 8th grade. But I think that sounds like the best we could possibly do.
There is some ACT, SAT data on the CBM 002, which is higher ed, but that's only for students who are enrolling in higher ed, and if that is the exemption they have for college readiness. So there's some information on that, but not for all students.
It's a subset of students. I understand. Thank you. We'll amend that and clarify the data request and provide a justification also.
You mind if I ask one quick follow-up question?
Yes, sure.
Would you potentially be open to us seeking grade 8 data just as sort of a common baseline?
Yeah, I think we just ask that you revise it and include the specific parts you're listing. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say I'm slightly concerned that you're basing everything on the 2011-12 trial. I guess you'd say that TEA did towards GPA, because my understanding was they found it to be not very accurate, so that's why they didn't continue doing that on past that 1 year trial. But that doesn't mean you can't get something out of it, maybe.
Thank you. That's great to know. Do you have a sense of what the inaccuracies are? Like, what did those pertain to?
That would be a TEA question, because they're the ones who actually did it that 1 year. And I know some of it had to do with, as we know, there's different scales. Some are on 5, some are on 4. And obviously you get boosts for different type courses. So and some are just even more different than that. So I think that was the problem, but I'm not sure.
Okay. I mean, part of how we're kind of thinking of this is we have these 2 years of course record data where we have the actual grade that the student observes in the course. We also have all of the other data, which is telling us what courses they took. And so we think we can kind of bridge these two data sources together to get some useful information about the performance in high school, given what courses students are taking, even if we don't necessarily know what grade they earned in all their courses. So we were kind of aware of these limitations, and we think that we can still get good information from them.
Good. And to go along with that, I agree with what Melissa said about adding CBM 002, because you might be able to get some idea of, but again, it's limited to who goes to college.
I think they already have it in CBM 002.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, we do have
No,
that.
Okay, good.
I'm very impressed that you all can remember these acronyms and what people are requesting. That's
What is it called? The TSI report?
Yeah.
That one.
There's technically two. There's CBM 002 and then there's actually TSI also.
SAT data and
But I'm talking about what the report is called. I don't remember what the CBM 002.
Yeah, right, but yes, and that is the TSI, but then we get a separate file that's a shorter summary version.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Also, another thing to remember, the CBM 00B, which is the admissions or application admission report, has some SAT, ACT data, but again, that's limited to certain students, ones that apply to a public university. And is that requested?
I don't think I see CBM WLP, but we would like to request that. I think if we could to do a little validating. Thank you.
Great. Other questions or comments for the researchers? If not, do I have a motion to approve with the following amendments? The addition of detail about which TEA test scores is being requested, and the addition of a request for CBM 00B.
I'm going to approve Celeste with those amendments.
I second.
Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
I just, sorry, Melissa, do you mind if I interject really quickly?
Sure.
I will have to leave in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give you a heads up, and I believe there's still a quorum to
There is.
approve. Okay, perfect.
Yes. Thank you for, well noted in the record.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. All right, so proposal 11. Here we are. Proposal 11, including remote access request UTA 291, the institutional incidence of federal student loan subsidies, student level evidence from Texas. We have someone to talk about this one.
Yes, hi, my name is Susan Cherry. I'm an assistant professor of finance at the University of Texas at Austin in the McComb School of Business. And so the idea behind this project is to try to determine whether federal consumer credit subsidies to higher education actually finance productive institutional inputs or administrative overhead. And then I want to look at what happens when these subsidies are tightened. I want to learn if tightening these subsidies actually harms or helps the students that the programs were designed to serve. And so the idea behind this project is that I plan to look at a sudden change in Parent Plus loans. And Parent Plus loans are federal loans that allow the parents of students to borrow up to the full attendance cost of attending a university or a college. And suddenly in 2011, there was a change in the underwriting standards to these loans, where suddenly and unexpectedly, a large number of students and parents who would have been approved in the prior year were suddenly denied access to these loans in 2011. And so this sudden change affected both universities and students pretty substantially. And so what I want to do is I want to understand what happens to both students and universities when this federally subsidized credit is cut off. So my research questions are, first, is there a compositional change in the types of students that attend different types of universities? Is there an institutional response in terms of the way that universities organize their operations? And really sort of at the heart of this project is I want to understand how federally subsidized student loans impact both the matching between students and universities. So you could imagine that these federally subsidized student loans promote credit access and allow students to attend the universities or the colleges that are the best match for them. On the other hand, you could imagine that these federally subsidized student loans make students less price sensitive and encourage them to attend high tuition universities that may provide lower returns. And so as a result of this, I'm requesting information on demographics of students, also things about students, their some of whatever SAT or ACT scores are available, also things about their financial aid, whatever is available in terms of the financial aid database. And then really importantly, I want to understand where these students are enrolling in college, and I want to have some measure of their wages or their earnings several years out of college. So I welcome any questions that you have.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board for the researcher? If there aren't any, do I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve. Eugene?
This is Holly, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here. Right, proposal 12, including remote access request UTA 292. Outcomes associated with dual enrollment. I have researchers here to talk about this one.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yes. I am Kat Warner Griffin. I am a research scientist, a small business located, headquartered in Virginia, and we are working under contract with the Institute of Education Sciences at the Department of Education to examine outcomes associated with dual enrollment. So we are looking at 4 research questions, kind of main questions in that area, and each of those questions has separate sub-questions and outcomes associated with it, but broadly the questions are students who take dual enrollment more likely to enroll in a post-secondary institution? Are students who take dual enrollment more likely to complete their degree? And then what are the financial outcomes for those students taking dual enrollment? And then what kind of variation do we see based on program characteristics and location of their dual enrollment courses? And we intend to look at kind of 6 separate subgroups of students that might be taking dual enrollment, and we would be using propensity score matching data to track the outcomes of these students. And we are considering 3 separate cohorts of students to kind of address longitudinal change in the demographic makeup of students who take dual enrollment. So we'll look at, and also to address longer term outcomes, especially those financial ones where we need a little bit more time for students to get there. So we would look at students who were juniors in 2013 and 14, students who were juniors in 2017 and 2018, and students who were juniors in 23 and 24. And that, I think, is the basics, but let me know if I missed anything.
Great, thank you. Are there questions or comments from the board for the researcher? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Angie. I'll move to approve.
I'll second Celeste.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here. Okay, proposal 13, including remote access request UTA 293, post-secondary higher educational outcomes of on-ramp students. Anyone here to talk about this one?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having me. My name is Tara O'Neill. I'm joined on the call by Rebecca Lyle, my colleague. We are both with the Data Strategies and Research Lab at UT Austin. And you'll hear some similarities to the one that we just heard, but we do vary from that study in a couple of interesting ways. I'll just briefly, cover the introductory part, which is that, as most of you all know on this call, dual enrollment in Texas has been growing by leaps and bounds in recent years and shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. There's clearly a strong commitment from districts and institutions of higher education. We now also have the state putting some money behind it with the creation of the FAST program, which provides financial aid for many dual enrollment students. And On-Ramps is the largest provider of dual enrollment in the state by far. This past academic year that just ended, On-Ramps had over 65,000 unique students in over 128,000 courses. We also believe, although we weren't really able to measure this, that that On-Ramps is the largest, has the broadest reach of any dual enrollment program in the state. Nearly 25% of all Texas high schools have an On-Ramps course, at least one On-Ramps course. And there are On-Ramps courses in districts in 19 of the 20 TEA service centers. And while there's a mountain of research on dual credit, the research hasn't really turned to look at individual providers of dual enrollment yet. We know the student outcomes are positive for dual enrollment participants in general, but it is kind of a strange space in that we have assessment and accountability in the K through 12 space that looks at districts and campuses. You can find student outcomes for individual institutions of higher education when you look at persistence rates and graduation rates and student debt. But the outcomes by institution for dual enrollment really hasn't been investigated yet. And we think given the rapid increase and the expected continuation of this increase in dual enrollment, that it is time that we begin to move the research into looking at assessing individual providers. So we have 3 research questions. The first 2 would compare students who participated in On-Ramps from 5 different cohorts. They would give us 193,000 On-Ramps participants. We would compare them to all other students at those high schools that those students attended. That way we locked down the comparison group to only students who had the opportunity to take an On-Ramps course. And we would compare matriculation, persistence in higher education, persistence at the same institution, persistence in major, and GPA across those 2 groups. And then our third research question would compare a different set of students. It would look at students who took a course, their first course in a particular field as an On-Ramps course versus students who took the equivalent course for the first time in college, and compare their subsequent course success to see if On-Ramp students are equally as prepared for the follow-on course as students who are taking their first course in a sequence once they've matriculated at college. And we would use propensity score matching for all of those research questions.
Great. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board for the researcher? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy. I move to approve.
This is Jackie, a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, proposal 14, including remote access requests, UTA 294, uncertified teachers, teacher retention, and student outcomes.
That is me.
We know we have the researcher here to talk about this.
Yes, I'm here. As you all know, research has consistently demonstrated that effective teachers are the most important school-level factor in promoting student achievement. Additionally, high poverty and high minority schools on average are staffed by teachers with less experience, less education, and less skills. Hiring and retaining effective teachers, as well as the rise in employment of uncertified teachers, significantly affects public education. As a result of teacher shortages, especially in core areas like math and science, students are now increasingly being taught by teachers who have never received any teaching training. The newly hired teachers who were issued an emergency permit grew tenfold from 2014-15 school year to 2023-24 school year, and newly hired teachers with no Texas certification or permit grew fivefold from 2014-15 to 23-24. We will specifically address the Texas District of Innovation, the DOI policy, which allows that flexibility to districts to hire uncertified teachers. This study will explore the relationship between teacher training, attrition, and student outcomes. The emerging trend of hiring uncertified teachers raises alarms in Texas and other states, with the full impact still being determined. This study addresses this gap by directly comparing certified teachers with uncertified teachers to better understand the implications for student outcomes and teacher retention. We'll start the study in 2012 with that data because it was 4 years before the implementation of the DOI. Additionally, 2012 was the first year teacher linked students to teachers and was the first year the current STAR test began. We will examine uncertified teachers' entry and exit points to help policymakers identify and remove barriers to effectively preparing uncertified teachers for the teaching profession. Next, we'll examine the current teacher workforce to find the most common pathways to teaching. And finally, we'll provide information on the immediate and long-term effects of uncertified teachers on student outcomes. These project activities include mixed methods research to identify obstacles to becoming a teacher, analyzing the public cost of various pathways into teaching, and identifying the successful pathways for current teachers. So thank you for your time. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board for the researchers?
So Liz, I think I have the same comment that I gave to other researcher relating to STAR files. That yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just
the year, yeah, you're right. So it well because we're doing teacher student links, I mean, I would say links, that I would say from 2012 for all grades, and probably mainly reading and math is what we'll concentrate. But actually we have to do other subjects because the uncertified teachers tend to they teach both, but we want to compare if they're teaching non-core versus core, I guess I would say.
Okay.
So do you want me to just send you a list of the actual STAR test? Because I actually did that on that proxy for the extension. I can copy that and send that to you.
Please. Thank you. Thank you.
And while we're talking about data, I also realized I forgot to request the TIA data. And that obviously is it's cumulative from 2020, but we have files for 24 and 25. And the current, when we continue getting them.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, do we have a motion to approve with the following amendments? The addition of the detail of the TEA testing request and addition of requests for TIA files.
This is Kathy. I'll move to approve with the identified amendments.
I'll second. Eugene.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And proposal 15, we already did. Agenda item 9, we already did. So thank you all for your time today. Really interesting work happening. So anyone want to make a motion to adjourn? Motion and second.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second. Eugene.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Motion passes. Thank you all for being here.